The rise of MAGA rappers is one of the most shocking and controversial movements in modern music history.
They want rainbows in the classrooms and 15 different bathrooms and white guys that hate black dudes. Where the Patriots set, red MAGA on the hat. Yeah, it's like that and we ain't turning back. Hang along high and strong.
And it's spiraling into a cultural disaster. What started as a handful of artists trying to mix hip-hop with right-wing politics has turned into something darker, uglier, and far more divisive. These so-called patriotic rappers claim to speak for America, but what they're really doing is turning hip-hop into a weapon of hate and division.
MAGA rappers making country songs about lynching. Like, fam, can't you even get your own genre of music to talk about killing us? They want to be us so fucking bad. But, I mean, if they ain't nothing else, they're pathetic. The guilt is deafening. Because from a deep intrinsic place of knowing, they understand that they owe their entire existence to those that they've enslaved and oppressed. Very few things in their culture are not the creation of black people. The imitation in the MAGA trap rappers, it got me thinking about the ideological basis in the BBL and the lip fillers is the imitation of African features. And the history is crazy. Sarah Bartman, who was a Khoi woman in modern-day South Africa, was used as a grotesque museum display because of her large butt. And shortly after that, Marie Antoinette big bust corset came into European fashion. That was the original BBL. Like, they've been trying to become us. Because a huge part of the DNA of hatred is obsession. And a primary part of the DNA of racism is jealousy. Fixation with genitalia, with athletic ability, artistic ability, science and architecture of Egypt and the Aztecs. So as the hatred and the racism reaches a fever pitch, peep-how the imitation do the same.
The same genre that was built on rebellion, truth, and the struggle of the unheard is now being twisted into a megaphone for racism, conspiracy, and political propaganda. And the world is watching as this movement grows louder and more dangerous. Watch this video till the end, because we're diving deep into how this disturbing trend started, who's fueling it, and why it might destroy everything hip-hop ever stood for. And before we go further, make sure you hit subscribe, because this is the story they don't want you to hear. Let's go straight to the point.
The demographic for hip hop is like 19 to 35-year-old white American youth. That's the primary demographic. It almost seems like there is a conscious effort to sort of destroy and dismantle and dilute that generation.
Right is angry. They're always angry. They've been angry since anyone can remember. They were angry when the Union won the Civil War and they had to give up their slave. They were angry when Reconstruction gave their former slaves the right to vote. They were angry when black soldiers came home from World War I and World War II and insisted on being treated with dignity, having fought for their country. They were angry about jazz music becoming more popular, and then about rock and roll. They were angry when black children tried to integrate schools. The whole history of the American right, whether they called themselves Democrats, Dixiecrats, or Republicans, is a history of rage. And even having, quote, taken back their country, unquote, by putting Donald Trump back in the White House and unleashing Project 2025 on all of us, deleting affirmative action, DEI, Black history, Black scholarships, Black-held jobs in the federal government, having driven women out of the military leadership and ended everything from farm subsidies to foreign aid, while getting away with an actual insurrection scot-free. They're somehow still angry.
The MAGA rap scene has become a circus of contradictions and chaos. These artists, mostly men who once mocked or ignored hip-hop, are now putting on gold chains and red hats, claiming to save rap culture from the inside. They drop songs about wokeness, fake news, and freedom, but their real goal isn't to uplift anyone. It's to divide the audience and cash in on the outrage economy. The movement started gaining traction when political polarization in America reached a boiling point. Formerly fringe rappers began aligning themselves with conservative influencers, right-wing pundits, and online echo chambers. They weren't interested in lyricism or authenticity. They were interested in virality. And nothing goes viral faster than controversy. Suddenly, you had white rappers spitting lines about protecting America, owning the libs, and making rap great again. You had artists filming music videos in front of American flags, holding rifles, and shouting slogans like they were at a rally instead of the studio. And behind it all, a new audience was forming. One that didn't come for the music, but for the message. These weren't hip-hop fans. They were culture warriors, using rap as camouflage. But here's the truth. MAGA rap is not a music movement. It's a marketing strategy. These artists discovered that outrage sells better than talent. And the result is some of the most tone-deaf, divisive content the genre has ever seen. They've taken the same art form that was created by black pioneers to fight systemic racism and police brutality, and turn it into a commercial for the same ideologies it once stood against. And it's not just offensive, it's dangerous. Because when you take a genre built on pain, resistance, and unity and turn it into propaganda, you're not just disrespecting the culture, you're corrupting it. You're teaching new listeners to associate rap not with empowerment, but with extremism. And the damage from that could last for generations. Let's talk about the kind of lyrics and visuals dominating this new wave. Guns, flags, and slogans about taking back America. Lines about immigrants, minorities, and wokeness. They're using coded language to send clear messages. The same kind of messages we've seen from extremist groups for years. Only now, it's packaged as entertainment. That's how propaganda works. It doesn't always look like a speech. Sometimes it sounds like a beat. And yet, these rappers keep insisting they're just telling the truth. But whose truth? When a message glorifies division, mocks victims of injustice, and rewrites history to fit a political agenda, it stops being truth and becomes manipulation. Maga rap isn't about patriotism, it's about power. And it's built on exploiting pain for clicks. The irony of it all is painful. Hip-hop was born as the voice of the oppressed, a way for marginalized people to speak out against the very systems that silence them. Now, MAGA rappers are using that same art form to defend those systems, to silence the struggles that birthed it. They claim to be saving hip-hop from political correctness, but what they're really doing is hijacking it. And what's worse, some major media outlets are helping them. Right-wing talk shows, podcasts, and news networks are putting these rappers on pedestals, calling them brave, real, and the future of rap. But let's be honest, this isn't about courage. It's about convenience. They finally found a version of hip-hop that aligns with their politics, so now it's suddenly respectable. But where was that respect when real rappers were talking about poverty, racism, or police brutality? Where was that energy when hip-hop was demanding justice for the communities that built it? Let's not forget, the same people cheering MAGA rappers now were the ones calling hip-hop violent, immoral, and a bad influence 20 years ago. The hypocrisy is staggering. Now that it serves their narrative, suddenly rap is fine. Suddenly, it's American. But what they're celebrating isn't hip-hop, it's an imitation. And here's the part that's truly scary. This movement is spreading. Social media algorithms love outrage, and MAGA rap is perfect for it. These songs rack up millions of views because they provoke. They get shared by people who hate them and by people who love them, both fueling the same machine. The result? A growing subculture of fans who mistake loudness for truth and anger for authenticity. But here's the thing. Behind the flags, the slogans, and the fake patriotism, these rappers don't stand for anything real. They're not trying to heal the country or elevate anyone's voice. They're not trying to heal the country or elevate anyone's voice. They're trying to sell rebellion to the very people who've never faced oppression. It's cosplay, political cosplay dressed up as hip-hop. And that's why the movement is doomed. Because it has no soul. Hip-hop survives and evolves because it speaks truth. Real truth. Painful truth. Universal truth. MAGA rap can't do that because its foundation is built on division and denial. You can fake flows, you can fake followers, but you can't fake authenticity. And already, we're seeing cracks. These rappers are starting to turn on each other, fighting over clout, over who's more patriotic, over who's the real voice of America. Their own greed and ego are eating the movement alive. Because without hate to feed it, there's nothing left. No message, no purpose, just noise. The disaster isn't just musical, it's social. MAGA rap is deepening the divisions in an already fractured country. It's feeding extremists, radicalizing young fans, and poisoning the very idea of what hip-hop was meant to be. Every time one of these songs goes viral, it reinforces the idea that art doesn't have to be meaningful, just manipulative. But here's the good news. Hip-hop has survived worse. It's outlasted every attempt to corrupt it, co-opt it, or kill it. From censorship to commercialization, the culture has always fought back. And it will again. Because real hip-hop isn't about politics, it's about truth. It's about voices that refuse to be silenced. So while the rise of MAGA rap may be loud, it won't last. Because hate doesn't build legacies, it burns them. These rappers might have views now, but they'll never have respect. They'll never stand next to the greats. Because greatness in hip-hop isn't measured by clicks or politics. It's measured by authenticity. So as you watch this play out, remember, what we're seeing right now isn't the future of rap. It's the ugly echo of a culture being misused. And when the noise fades, the truth will still be standing.